Hey, it's Beverly with the Intuitive Interior. It is June 2023, time for your I Ching reading. We have the month of the Yang Earth Horse starting on June 6th, and it's going to last through July 6th. So keep that in mind as I'm going over the reading so that you can kind of gauge how it's going to impact your holidays, whether it's the summer solstice on the 21st or the 4th of July weekend, which, all of this is going to be part of that. So, anyway, again, the Yang, first of all, the kind of the general overview of the month is we have the horse, which its natal element is fire. It's going to be that real stubborn, fiery, you know, dig in its heels kind of energy, but also real expansive and lots of activity, coupled though with this yang earth energy. So imagine, the mountain, this long lasting, just stayed environment paired with this horse energy, this active energy. We could feel a lot of push and pull, stop and go. Emotions and mindsets can even be more entrenched this month. However, because of the reading that I have here, we might see a little bit of movement because, again, that horse energy, it just wants to go. It just wants to move. So the first card that came up is number 33, retreat. Now, this card has come up before, but in combination with other really slow moving cards. So this retreat is actually very positive, considering it's the summer month. There's a lot of people who are trying to figure out how to go on vacation, how to relax, how to kind of recover from that blast furnace that was May. The hexagram here is the Chan up here on the top that is associated with the Northwest and Yang metal. Down here is Gen, that is associated with the Northeast, which is a Yang Earth. So we've got Earth here, metal here. Our inner world is being absolutely influenced by our need, the outer world activities. So that really makes us want to kind of slow down and go back inwards. It's the words associated with this are a timely departure, letting go, withdrawal, reevaluation, retirement, and don't hesitate to walk away. So the focus line on this was number 4. And again, when we're in the upper, in that, the 4, 5, and 6 numbers, that is looking at what kind of external environments are you associated with. So again, remember, we've got this stubborn yang horse, yang earth horse energy that is really making us look at where we've been really entrenched and really stuck. Line 4 says, wondering, worrying, analyzing, and rationalizing are all ways of avoiding the inevitable fact that soon you will simply have to move on. Leaving well enough alone and getting on with life is a positive and potent act that frees up all of the previously stuck energy. If living in accord with the will of heaven is the intention, then clinging to the past is the last thing that you should be interested in. So let's take a quick, think about that. With the current political situation, we have a lot of different leaders who are wanting to move us back into a time that, well, it only served a small handful of people. Clinging to these notions of how things are supposed to be, it's not healthy. It is regression. We need progression. We need growth. Not necessarily like, oh my gosh, throw like Jack and the Beanstalk. You throw a couple of magic beans down, and next thing you know, you've got this vine to heaven. It is more about looking at how can you as an individual impact your own mindset. It's an opportunity to kind of go back, take a break, and then look at, well, is this really where I still need to be? Um, in just a, your own house, looking around, what are the objects that you've been holding on to? This might be an opportunity to take a look at that pile of clutter. Maybe it's time to actually file them. Maybe it's time to actually look at the emotions around that and see what you can move on from there. So the next card, this one has never been pulled, and I'm so excited. I've been doing these for several years, and this is the first time this has come up. It's not my favorite, but it is kind of, Okay, it is number 18. It is working on what has been spoiled. Working on what has been spoiled. Um, This hexagram here has the sun on the bottom, which is associated with the southeast and yang wood. And then on the top, again, is that gun, the yang earth, as associated with the northeast. So we've got this wood energy underneath and the earth energy on the top. Wood is draining that earth energy because trees need good soil to grow. So that means that our external environment again will be impacting our own internal thought processes. The first thing that came to mind when I saw this was, again, here in America, the Supreme Court has sided with industry and to say essentially that it's fine if you want to pollute the marshlands on property that you own. That's okay, because it's not a flowing stream, except it feeds into a flowing stream. So unfortunately, we're going to be having a lot of things that have been spoiled that are going to be repaired. I think about around the world, how many wars are happening, and how this is also another time to go back and begin to, as things become more stable, cleaning up the debris. It's also a good time to go through and look at where you might have exploded your own bombs in your own world. And, maybe it's time to tidy those up too. So the terms that are associated with this card are healing, correct past mistakes, make repairs, clean up corruption, restore balance, and responsible action. Here in Texas, we just had it's only the third time ever that we have had one of our state leaders impeached. That's a good option, a good time to take a look at, what kind of other corruption is going on? How are you relating to that? Maybe you were sad about it. Maybe you were ecstatic about it. Maybe you're simply like, oh, okay, this happened. Let's see how things continue to progress. Because the focus line on this one is number 1, that again really delves with how are you really internally dealing with things. And it says sometimes the source of corruption is ingrained so deeply in one's characteristic way of doing things that the work of change feels like uprooting one's very identity. If this is your situation, it is an extraordinary opportunity. Any changes that you are able to make will benefit you in ways that you cannot even imagine now. We all have blind spots. We all want to pretend that life is beautiful and rosy. I mean, social media, come on, we've all curated our feeds. And if you haven't, you've probably felt some blowback from that. It's great to show up as, this is all me and take me or leave me. That's fine. But there's also this wonderful thing called emotional regulation that helps people to get to know you on a slower level so that they can then really truly accept who you are. Sometimes the people that really show up in that harsh, love me or leave me, with all that, um, that actually is a way of pushing people away. It's a veneer of unworthiness and this belief that they're unlovable. Um, and so they come out real strong to prove to everyone else that, see, my attitude that I'm unlovable is true because nobody's loving me. Nobody is accepting me. Um, that's an option. That's an opportunity for things to be worked on. Um, I think the best example here is, well, I'm just going to read this whole first paragraph. No, I'm not. I'm going to come back to and look at that. It's as if we've all had our moments where there is just not time to work on things, where we don't have that white space in our life to deal with some of the big hurts, to deal with some of the long held misconceptions about ourselves and others. And so any of those ugly feelings that come up, we just stuff them down. And we just keep stuffing down and put more pretty, plant some pretty flowers on top. And think about a compost pile. Okay, so we just keep stuffing, stuffing, stuffing. And next thing you know, all that stuff has, well, started to degrade, started to decompose, started to become that stinky compost. And that beautiful group of flowers that are on top, there's now a little tiny weed. We think, oh, that's just a little irritating thing. I'm just going to pull out this little weed. But what happens is, and I think what this card is kind of giving us a heads up about, is that when you pull that out, sometimes that whole top comes right off, and all those pretty flowers are uprooted. And you, as try as you might, you can't stuff things back down again because all of that underneath has come bubbling up. This is a time for compassion. This is a time for the healing. Is that physical, mental, emotional, energetic, financial? I don't know. That's going to be up to you. But this compost is rich. It's wonderful. It is what will feed all of the rest of the flowers in your life. But you do have to take care of that and address it. So things have been spoiled. Make sure you take that, give yourself that grace, give yourself that opportunity, because completion. Card number 63 is actually one of the most powerful cards in the whole deck. It's actually one of the pure guas because we've got this on the bottom. We have the Li trigram, which is fire. It's associated with the south. On top, we have Kan. Kan is associated with the north, and that's with the water. So we have this beautiful balance of the fire under the water. It is warming the water. Think about it, it's a lovely cup of tea. Everything is working in harmony. This card says final attainment, victory, a crescendo, a job well done, perfection, peak performance, and prudence. The main theme about this card is celebrate. Celebrate your accomplishments. You may have achieved something. We've got all these graduations that are happening, and my own daughter has graduated from veterinarian school, so she is officially a doctor. Could not be prouder of her. And there's that inevitable, like, okay, I've achieved this goal. Now what? Now I've got to go out and live life. And when you've been on that kind of promotion path, sometimes after you actually achieve that goal or make that quota, or marry the love of your life, and the wedding is done, and you come back home from the honeymoon, and it's like, okay, now what? there's a little bit of that opportunity to take a breath, recalibrate, and not beat yourself up because every moment of your life after this is not going to be this peak experience. I know from my own days when I was selling for Procter and Gamble, I would be so thrilled after achieving this big goal, and I'd won several awards and it just felt amazing. And it didn't seem like it lasted very long because it was an external goal. It was an external piece that I was um, being celebrated for. But there was this new next level. It's like, okay, well, you've made that look easy. Here, try this next goal. It's like saying, okay, well, you climbed Mount Shasta. Well, why aren't you already up to Everest? So that's where the expectation of perfection and that constant, striving, it can be very, very draining. So take the time, celebrate your wins, know that for every peak experience, there's you got to go back down the hill. And I apologize. I just realized I've been showing everybody my hand that I cut last night. So excuse the excuse that little grossness there. But that's again part of life isn't perfect. Um, there was one little piece that I wanted to read on this because this is line number 4. It says that surprisingly, the most ordinary experiences can provide us with luminous insight. When, for example, you are able to dispassionately witness the subtle nuances of dark and light, that shift within your own thoughts, it is possible to taste a peak um, in the form of insight that restores a sense of inner harmony and well being. Even so, I'm going to go ahead and use this cut on my hand. Even though, that was not great, I was able to appreciate that. All right, the wine bottle handle broke, the opener broke. That now completed that journey. I've been actually looking at replacing it for about a month and a half, actually probably even longer, because it was just getting harder and harder to use until finally realized it's like, okay, well, its time is complete. No major damage, no tendons torn, no stitches needed. Um, just a band-aid and being in a little bit of discomfort. That's okay. It's time to move on. So when you think about all 3 of these together, in combination with that yang earth horse energy, that kind of stubborn determination, we can take all 3 of these, go within, look at where is it that we can make our own internal shifts, go through, start fixing things that are broken. Perhaps there's a relationship that needs to be repaired. Perhaps it's just tackling some home improvement projects. Perhaps it's contacting your local city council or school board or state legislature or whatever. Perhaps it's just sending that love out to the world and then rejoicing when the things are completed that can be completed, knowing that nothing has to be perfect for it to be perfect. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe and share. And I will put my link to signing up for my newsletter if you'd like to get more information, a little bit more written detail, where I give some of the positive dates and a few other pieces of information. In addition, I will be starting a podcast here in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for more of that as well. Have a wonderful June. Stay warm. Well, stay cool, since it's probably, depending on what part of the year, most of my viewers tend to be in the Northern Hemisphere, but stay warm, stay cool, stay happy, and stay joyful.